Okay, this one is fresh on my mind, and it's probably one of the most important messages and reminders for me because without it, I wouldn't be who I am and be who I'm called to be. So I wanted to say and remind myself in this same video as I tell you, please don't allow things, people, and situations to harden your heart. Sometimes the hardest thing to do in life is the easiest thing to do in the long run. For example, forgiveness. Forgiving people in the moment, it can seem like something that's very impossible. It's almost dreadful to do because it's like this person did me wrong. There's no way I can just like let this go and let this be okay, let them get off the hook. But it's not that. You're forgiving people for yourself. And I remember when my mom used to say that, you forgive people for yourself, not for them. I didn't realize it until I understood the capacity of it. You forgive people for yourself because, like I said, sometimes the hardest thing to do is the easiest thing to do in the long run. It's hard in the moment to forgive because it can seem impossible. But later on in life, you don't have to carry that grief. You don't have to carry that pain. You don't have to carry that weight and that burden of unforgiveness. There's so many situations in my life that could have really changed me. And without forgiving people and without letting them go, and honestly, without the grace of God, because quite literally, I don't know how I got through most things without being changed. Like, I remain to keep my heart. I remain to keep my heart. Like, don't ever lose that feeling that you get when you feel for people. That's your gift, to be able to feel people the way you feel for them, to be able to love people the way you're able to love them. There's a gift in that. And I also want you to take the time to appreciate those spaces where your character and your fullness of your personality is glorified and celebrated. This all came about because my last video, I talked about getting a return on your tears. And one of my old cheer trainers, which became my best friend, which became my sister, which became my mentor when I was younger, and still probably to this day, I just haven't reached out to her in a long time. She made a message and said, like, watching my baby grow up, like, this is such a beautiful thing, keep shining bright. And a lot of who I am, I dedicate to her because I remember her and her family provided this safe space for me where I was so comfortable in being myself in its entirety. I was so comfortable with myself, and they used to just be like, oh, I love this about you, that about you. Don't ever change, don't ever change. They made me feel so comfortable to be myself. And the importance in that is to recognize that in spaces that who you are in your wholeness at your core, when that's celebrated, that also helps. So give appreciation to those people that celebrate you at your core. And if you don't have that, change your environment, because people should be celebrating you for who you are. The goal of me saying that is it's important to appreciate the spaces where you're celebrated, because that helps you reach who you're called to be. Without those spaces, it can be harder to be who you're called to be. Not impossible, but harder. I also wanted to say there's so many situations, people that I could have allowed to change who I was at my heart, at my core. And if I did, I wouldn't be where I am. And that's why this video hits and sinks so hard. And I'm feeling it. Because like, I could cry. Like, Jesus literally preserved me, preserved my heart. You have to allow people to change you. And that brings me to the topic of bullying. I used to be bullied when I was younger for multiple things. I actually used to get bullied by parents, not even children, all the way from like middle school to high school. It was not even my friends. It was their parents that were bullying me. Like, it was a jealousy thing. Like, you wouldn't think an adult could be jealous of you as a kid, but when I got older, I matured and I realized. I also used to have alopecia, so my hair fell out and I was bald, and I used to get bullied for that. And now, and also in the previous video, I talked about how I'm blessed to help this girl who also gets bullied. And I'll use this example. The kids that I work with a sibling, a pair that's a sibling. And so her brother was telling her something that was actually true about how to fix what she was doing. And she was like, be quiet, I don't need to hear you say that. I said, okay, are we attacking your brother or the truth? Is what he said true? And she said, yes. And I said, how does that make you feel? She was like, I don't like it at all. He's picking on me. I was like, no, he's picking to tell you only the truth. And so you have to change your truth if you don't like to hear it. But we're not gonna hate the person. If you hate the truth, change the truth for yourself. But like if someone's giving you the truth, that's something that we don't like within ourselves. Get comfortable within yourself, start creating the environment within yourself if you don't have the people outside of you. If you don't have the people to appreciate who you are, you start to appreciate who you are. If you don't have the people to appreciate and glorify and celebrate you from where you're at in your growth to now, then you have to do that for yourself. That's when the whole self-love thing comes in, is when you don't have the people to do it for you, you don't have the spaces for you, and you have to create it for yourself. So what I teach them is that sometimes the truth is hard, but who are we attacking? The person or the truth? What's hurting us more? Is it the person or the truth? And a lot to do with bullying is what we think is true. Okay, the video cut out. But I was saying, it reminds me of this song, what the enemy means for evil, God will turn it for your good. Quite literally, God turned it for my good. Like, had I allowed that to change who I was, or allowed those comments, allowed that negativity, allowed that gossip to change who I was at my heart, I wouldn't be able to feel for people now the way I do. I wouldn't be able to impact lives now, even children's, the way I do. So in the instance of bullying, what I teach people now and what I would love you guys to teach the younger kids is that the biggest thing about bullying is not so much the bully. It's about you allowing them to make you think and manipulate your mind out of who you really are. The hardest thing about bullying and gossip is that sometimes it's the truth and it's hard to swallow the truth. And sometimes it's a lie that we allow to become our false truth. And what I've been teaching a lot of the young kids that I work with about bullying is that you have to allow them to make you feel a certain way, to make your heart turn against them. Don't allow them to do that, because the moment you do, you give them the power. Take your power back. Be who you are at your core. Love at your core. I'm not saying let somebody walk all over you. Never am I going to say that. But I'm saying, like, why is your heart so easily turned by somebody else? Who are you giving the power to? What situation are you giving the power to? What thing have you given the power to allow your heart to turn? That's such a big thing, to allow your heart to turn because of things outside of you. The only thing that should turn your heart is whatever's within you. Your spirit is the only thing that should turn your heart, persuade your heart. Anything outside of you should have nothing to do with inside of you.